Parting is always such sweet sorrow, especially when you consider the prospect of saying goodbye to someone you've known for decades. Case in point, One Piece. Eiichiro Oda's magnum opus has now hit the home stretch, kicking off the Straw Hat Pirates' final adventure with the Egghead Arc. And you can bet Oda-sensei's going to make it one hell of a ride to the finish line. With tons of intrigue, revelations, and some of that good old-fashioned shonen bombast, One Piece's Egghead Arc is shaping up to be a modern-day classic that fans will remember years after it wraps up. So, what can we fans expect from the world of One Piece on this grand adventure? Well, we're about to give you the lowdown on what to expect in the Egghead Arc in this video. A bit of a disclaimer though, heavy spoilers ahead for One Piece chapters 1058 to 1105. With that out of the way, let's dive right into today's topic. Kid Pirates, we hardly knew ye. We fans can easily tell that Oda-sensei doesn't plan on slowing down as we enter the opening salvo to One Piece's final arc. And this is in full display when Eustace Kid and his eponymously named pirate crew went head-to-head with Shanks and his pirate loyalists. As testament to why One Piece has become the best-selling manga series of all time, Oda was able to provide us fans with an unprecedented battle, one where we see Shanks tapping into his full capabilities to give us a showdown that leaves Eustace Kid and the Kid Pirates a thing of the past. Honestly, we can't help but ask ourselves how Oda-sensei is able to keep this level of excitement within a single series, even after literally more than 1,000 chapters. The origin of D. After years of speculation, fans have finally been treated to the true meaning of the D initial in the world of One Piece. What started out as an unassuming middle initial for characters like Luffy and Ace has been revealed as one of the most important elements in the series. In a nutshell, the D initial is given to individuals and families who oppose the world government. At its core, characters who possess that letter in their name almost always play significant parts in world-changing events, as shown when the ancient Queen Nefertari D. Lily, the first person to hold the initial, eventually led to the scattering of the poneglyphs. That said, we'd like to take this moment to mourn the demise of King Nefertari Cobra, who made the ultimate sacrifice after discovering D's secrets. You'll be missed, you island sovereign you. Vice Admiral Garp is an absolute legend. The Egghead Arc features one of the most adrenaline-pumping encounters we've seen in this series so far, with Luffy's grandfather and Vice Admiral of the Marines, Monkey D. Garp, facing off against the Blackbeard Pirates. His duel with Kuzan, Garp's own former student at the academy, is one for the books. The whole encounter ends with the Vice Admiral taking one for the team, allowing his students, most notably Kobe, to flee from Hachinosu, while he deals with the powerful Blackbeard pirate alone. The scene where Grandpa Garp entrusts the future of the Marines to the escaping students feels like Oda drove a halberd right into fans' feels, and we love every inch of it. Kuzan has the legendary Marine officer impaled with an icicle, so it's only a matter of time before we find out about Garp's ultimate fate in the series. Dragon's origins revealed. Suffice it to say that Oda and his team have been rather tight-lipped when it comes to Luffy's dad's story. Thankfully, One Piece has finally sated our curiosity by introducing a bunch of backstory to Luffy's dad. The Egghead Arc finally reveals that the Revolutionary Army's head was a former Marine. Monkey D. Dragon eventually became disillusioned with the company, particularly with all the hypocrisy about justice that the Marines are supposed to stand for. More importantly though, we find out that Dragon isn't just a typical deadbeat dad. He actually cares a lot for Luffy, considering the young Monkey D member to be his gaping weakness, which explains a lot as to why he chose to leave the kid with Garp years ago. The return of Jaguar. One of the more low-key surprises from One Piece's Egghead Arc is the revelation that Jaguar D. Saul, a former Marine Vice Admiral and one of Nico Robin's closest friends, is still alive. When we last saw this bearded ginger giant, Kuzan had just encased him in ice in the middle of Buster Call's battleship's bombardment, just as he was escaping Ohara with Robin. So color us surprised when we find out that Jaguar is still alive and kicking in the Egghead Arc. What's more is that he worked with Dr. Vegapunk during the scientist's trip to Elbaf. Now we're betting that we're going to see more of this amazing character in the future. Maybe we'll even learn how exactly he escaped the Buster Call and Kuzan's ice prison when that time comes. Kobe becomes an absolute unit. Kobe, for lack of a better word, was a snot-nosed runt when he was first introduced in One Piece. The boy has come a long way though, as he's become a member of SWORD, the Marines Special Forces, and a captain along the way. However, the Egghead Arc reveals that Kobe's glow-up goes far beyond naval titles. as Kobe performs an impressive feat using his Bososhoku haki during their escape from Hachinosu. In the encounter, Kobe utilizes the technique to decimate Pizarro's Shimashima no Mi Devil Fruit ability, which created a giant hand using the island's soil itself to stop Kobe and the other Marines from escaping. We won't be surprised if this is only a primer for what we're about to see from this pink-haired Marine in the future. Until then, let's all appreciate the fact that the boy has finally become a man. Whatever happened to the man named Kuma? Those who don't follow One Piece, and believe it or not, there are a few of them, balk at fans who always claim that the series hits different. If these non-believers found out about Bartholomew Kuma's origin story, we bet they'd get on the Thousand Sunny-shaped bandwagon with no second thought. The Egghead Arc reveals Kuma's heartbreaking backstory. As part of the Buccaneer race, the world nobles had Kuma and his family in their crosshairs. Eventually, Kuma and his parents would find themselves prisoners of these dastardly aristocrats. His mom dies in prison, and, to make matters worse, Kuma witnesses his dad executed in front of him. Sometime later, Kuma would be sent to God Valley to be hunted for sport. He eventually escapes the island with friends Ginny and Ivankov. Kuma and Ginny eventually become star-crossed lovers, and when she dies, Ginny leaves her daughter Bonnie with Kuma to be raised as his own child. In fact, Bonnie and her medical condition is the main reason that Kuma has become a zombie-like pacifista in the Egghead Arc. Here's hoping the gentle giant eventually gets a happy ending. Jewelry Bonnie's time to shine. Since we've mentioned Bonnie, we'd be remiss not to talk about the part she plays in the Egghead Arc as well. In it, she goes toe-to-toe with J. Garcia Saturn, one of the Five Elders, and an absolute aristocratic scumbag. It turns out that the fan-favorite captain of the Bonnie Pirates is actually just a tween. She's 12, with the power to age and de-age herself and any other object at will. This is all possible because Saturn experimented on her when she was a baby, feeding her devil fruit extract that ultimately gave her these powers. More curious, though, is the fact that Bonnie's devil fruit abilities extend to powers that allow her to transform her body into something resembling Luffy's Gear 3 transformation, which leaves us fans with more questions as to how powerful she really is. A glimpse into the Five Elders and Imu's true power. The Egghead Arc reveals that both Imu and the Five Elders aren't just simple hereditary fascists out there to stand in our hero's way. They possess immense power too, thanks to their Zoan transformations. So far, we've seen one of the Elders, J. Garcia Saturn, turn into what can only be described as a grotesque, scarf-wearing spider when he and Imu lunged at Sabo and Cobra. The encounter left Sabo barely escaping with his wife, and Cobra falling at the hands of the two awakened Zoans. And when it comes to power levels, Saturn has got a healing factor that can put Wolverine to shame, and a literal death stare that can kill anyone with a weak haki. Yikes. Where devil fruit comes from. There are still many unanswered questions remaining in the world of One Piece, and one of the biggest mysteries is the origin of devil fruits. After all, it's one of the defining elements of the series. In the Egghead Arc, we fans get a glimpse into this long-kept secret. Dr. Vegapunk theorizes that the devil fruits are born from the hopes and dreams of humanity, and that each of them is an expression of man's possible future or evolution. We also get an explanation why devil fruit users tend to have an adversarial relationship with the sea, and it's believed that it's nature's way of rejecting these evolutionary aberrations. Now that's interesting enough. Whether this explanation will stay true throughout the remainder of One Piece remains to be seen. One thing's for sure though, we're along for the ride. How the Egghead Arc might end. Oda-sensei, in his recent appearance at Jump Festa 2023, all but confirmed that the Egghead Arc will close sometime in 2024. In addition to that, the year will also have Luffy and the gang go on another transition period before reaching the next island for the succeeding arc in One Piece's final saga. Given that there's a lot going on in the current storyline, we can only speculate about the eventual outcome that will more or less set up our favorite characters' respective status quo for the future. Here are a few events that might happen by the time the Egghead Arc ends. Saturn's going to be a hostage. It's only a matter of time before we see Luffy take on J. Garcia Saturn in what would surely be one of the series' most bombastic duels to date. One theory that fans of the series speculate is that Saturn won't meet his end in Luffy's hands. Instead, Luffy will just rough him up so bad that he becomes the Straw Hat's hostage. This hypothetical scenario even goes so far as to have Luffy and his crew taking the Elder to Elbaf. More interestingly though, is how Robin's going to respond if this theory comes to pass. She knows that Saturn and the Five Elders were responsible for the events on O'Hara Island after all. Vice Admiral Garp is still alive. All signs nearly point to a resounding yes when we ask if Vice Admiral Garp is dead. But what if he isn't? For all we know, Kuzan might have placed the old Marine in a suspended state while he was impaled, only to revive him in the future. As such, it's no big surprise if we found out that Garp is still alive in the series. I mean, come on, just look at Jaguar. He ultimately survived his encounter with Kuzan, right? The more interesting question here, though, is what Kuzan might be planning behind the scenes. If he did play a part in Jaguar's escape, and if he might be responsible for Garp returning to active duty in the series, we fans can't help but ask what this Chili Fruit user's ultimate motives are. A coup d'etat for the ages. Remember, there are thousands of marine ships surrounding Egghead Island as the arc progresses. These world government enforcers serve as its attack dogs, crushing anything that opposes it. So, what would happen to the status quo if the Marines break away from the world government? The puzzle pieces are all there: Garp and some of the Admiral's disillusionment with the organization, the will of D, and the true nature of the Five Elders. There's also punk records, which might ultimately serve as a broadcasting technique that will help Luffy and his friends reveal this information throughout the known world. Should this theory come to pass, it's safe to say that the One Piece universe will see another tremendous change in its status quo. That's not to mention, too, that this scenario will ultimately add more of that trademark nuance to the series. But what do you think? Got any theories about how the Egghead Arc might end? How do you like One Piece's final saga so far? Let's discuss it in the comments section below. And if you want more amazing manga and anime content, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to see them. We'll see you in the next video.